This is Algebra 2 working on Concept 19, and in this video I'm looking at worksheet 19.2 and numbers 32, 33, and 34, all three of them. And the number 32, excuse me, if the graph of y equals the quantity of x minus 7 cubed plus 2 is shifted down 2 units and to the left 6 units, which equation below correctly represents the new cubic? The best way to do this for the cubic, for any of these graphs, when they're shifting around like this, is to look at the starting point. And so for some of them, if you look at some of the notes I have from earlier, you have, there's the cubic, and by starting point I mean this important point in the middle here, which is given to us by h and k. You have the absolute value, which has the vertex, and then you have the starting point, better words for these ones for the square root graph. But all of them again are a result from h and k. So the first thing we should be doing when we're comparing these is finding that initial point. So for this equation, that point for h is going to be the opposite of this minus 7 is positive 7, and then the 2 outside for the k value stays the same, so we're going with the original graph with the point of 7 and 2. Now if it's saying shift down 2 units, remember down, when you think about your graphs, your x and y graphs, there's your x-axis, y-axis. The y is going up and down, which means if we're going down 2 units, we have to take this y value and subtract 2. So normally we'd be right 7 and up 2, we're going to go down 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. So we're subtracting 2 from that. Now it says to the left 6 units. So on the x-axis, if I'm going to go to the left, that means I'm going to subtract 6. If I want to go to the right, I'm going to add 6. So left is subtraction, so I'm going to take this 7 and I'm going to subtract 6 from that. That gives me a 1. Which means my new h and k values for the new cubic are 1 and 0. So when I go to this handy-dandy general equation, this plugs in as 1, becomes x minus 1. The k value is 0, so there's nothing after the parentheses. And when I look at my choices, there's the minus 1. That gives me the positive 1 for the h value. There's nothing afterwards, so it's 0 for the k. So my choice for number 32 is going to be A. Now number 33, now we're switching to an absolute value graph. Start with the absolute value. Y equals the absolute value of x plus 4 minus 3. It shifts to a new position to become y equals absolute value of x plus 5. Which statement describes this movement? Again, same strategy. We're going to look at finding the h and k in which, for this case, in the absolute values, is the vertex. So we're going to find this h and k point for both of these. This time we have both equations. This first one gives me an h value of negative 4. I'm switching that to the opposite sign. And negative 3, the one outside, stays the same. This one gives me an h value of 0. Because inside there's nothing being added to x. The k value is positive 5. So I'm going from on the x-axis negative 4 to 0. So if you imagine your x-axis, so there's negative 4. I'm starting here and I'm going here. That means I'm going to the right 4. Now before I look at the y's, right here, let me see, down 4, right, there's right 4. Now I will check to see that the up 8 works, but chances are it's the only one that says right 4, so chances are that's the one I want. Now from negative 3 to 5, that means on the y-axis there's negative 3 all the way up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Starting at negative 3, going up 8 units, there's up 8. That's my correct answer for number 33. Now the last one, number 34. Excuse me, write an equation for a square root graph that has been shifted 10 units left, 5 units down, has been flipped upside down. So just really quickly, there's my square root graph, square root equation, x minus h plus k. Shifted 10 units left means this h value has to actually become positive because it's going to negative 10. 5 units down goes to negative 5, so this k value, remember, stays the same. So this inside here becomes x plus 10. That'll give me this negative 10. 5 units down, outside the symbol minus 5 here, that gives me the minus 5 here. And then the only other thing is that it has to be flipped upside down, and that means that, remember, the a value then has to be a negative. So my equation ends up being y equals negative square root x plus 10 minus 5.